Let's start light with Napoleon's rabbit massacre and then spiral into the full chaos of a man who conquered half of Europe and still couldn't save his own genitals. Number 5. You'd think a guy who crushed armies and restructured entire countries could handle a few rabbits, right? Wrong. So wrong. One fine afternoon, Napoleon decided it was time for a little recreational flex. A grand rabbit hunt. His men set everything up. A lovely field, nice weather, and hundreds of rabbits specially collected for the event. The plan was simple. Release the rabbits, chase them around, shoot a few, look cool. Standard royal bonding activity. Except, no one told the rabbits. When they were released, instead of scattering into the bushes like nature intended, the rabbits turned around and charged. Not a cute little hop-hop either. We're talking full aggression. Hundreds of bunnies, ears flopping, teeth bared, beady eyes locked onto their target. Napoleon. At first, everyone laughed because, honestly, who expects a bunny battle formation? But laughter turned to horror as the rabbits swarmed, climbing up boots, gnawing at coattails, and launching full-body attacks at Napoleon and his soldiers. Napoleon tried to shoo them away. He tried to command them, because of course he did. But the rabbits were not taking orders that day. Defeated, humiliated, and probably questioning every life choice, Napoleon did the only thing he could. He ran. He ran from the battlefield he himself had created, chased by an army of rabbits. Now that's rich. Imagine it. The great emperor of the French, the terror of Europe, running across a field, flailing his arms while rabbits nipped at his heels. History books love to talk about his military genius, but they tend to skip the part where he lost a full-scale war to bunnies. But if you thought running from rabbits was peak Napoleon, wait until you see what he did when he decided he was too good for the Pope. Number 4. So it's 1804. Big day. Napoleon's getting crowned emperor at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Whole place is packed. Everyone's holding their breath. The Pope, you know, the guy who usually puts the crown on your head, he's standing there, holding the crown, probably waiting for Napoleon to come kneel and play nice. Traditionally, the Pope's supposed to crown you as a sign as you've got the big guy upstairs on your side. But Napoleon, he was like, yeah, I'm good. In front of everyone. The Pope, the clergy, foreign dignitaries, half of Paris. Napoleon marched up to the Pope, snatched the crown from his hands, turned around and placed it on his own head. It was the ultimate, I don't need your approval move. Like he was announcing to the world, God didn't make me emperor. I did. And the Pope just stood there. Like when your friend tells the waiter their meal's wrong and you have to pretend you're not there. And Napoleon didn't even apologise. He just adjusted the crown, smiled for the cameras, paintings, and carried on like nothing happened. If bunny battles were a career low, this was a career high. This was Napoleon's main character energy moment. But that's not even close to what he did in his early 20s. Number 3. Before Napoleon was a war hero, before he was emperor, he was just a guy with feelings. A lot of feelings. Somewhere between conquering nations and annoying the Pope, Napoleon sat down and wrote an entire romance novel. Yep, it's called 𝐘𝐿 et Eugénie. And it's exactly what you'd expect from a 20-something who'd been rejected a few too many times. Desperate, dramatic, and weirdly personal. The story follows a noble, heroic soldier, totally not based on himself, who falls madly in love, gets his heart broken, and then naturally dies in battle. Because love hurts, and Napoleon didn't believe in happy endings apparently. It's all very Dear Diary, today was the worst day ever energy. And look, no shame in a little heartbreak writing, but imagine being one of history's most feared leaders, and also the author of what's basically the 18th century version of a sad Tumblr post. He never published it, by the way, probably realised that ruling Europe and confessing your deepest romantic failures don't really go hand in hand. But the manuscript still exists, tucked away in libraries, forever embarrassing Napoleon. And it's not just his love life that's embarrassing, his afterlife takes some of that credit too. Number 2. So, Napoleon dies in exile on the island of St. Helena, far from the glory days of crowning himself emperor or ruling the entirety of Europe. But even death couldn't save him from what came next. During his autopsy, something weird happened. And by weird, I mean allegedly, one of the doctors decided to steal a souvenir. Not a lock of hair, not a tooth, his private parts. Yep, that part. Somehow, and history's a little vague on the exact logistics, his most personal piece was sliced off, smuggled out, and over the years it's been sold at auctions multiple times. Like a cursed artifact nobody really wants but can't stop bidding on. It's been described, very politely, as shriveled leather and a dried eel. Today, no one's entirely sure where it is. Some think it's in New Jersey, some think it's still locked away in a private collection, gathering dust side-eyes. So whether size matters or not, Napoleon doesn't really care at this point, but what he does care about is his love for the dramatics. Number 1. By 1814, Napoleon's empire had completely fallen apart. He was forced to abdicate, exiled to some tiny island in the middle of nowhere. The guy was basically alone, depressed, and probably scared too. Figuring he might as well go out on his own terms, Napoleon reached for his secret weapon. A vial of poison he'd been carrying around for years. His personal break glass in case of total failure plan. So he downs the poison, ready for a dramatic, tragic exit. And nothing. Turns out, poison doesn't exactly age like fine wine. It goes bad. Real bad. Instead of a quick, noble end, Napoleon got 2 full days of violent, miserable food poisoning. He tried to check out like a tragic hero and ended up looking like a guy who got scammed by a shady food truck. And the cherry on top, he didn't even die. He just sat there, clutching his stomach, realising he was still alive, sick, humiliated, and still stuck filling out whatever the 19th century version of exile paperwork was. Imagine realising not only are you not dead, but you now have to live with the fact that even your own poison didn't take you seriously. So, which of these history recaps made you think Napoleon was built different? Drop it in the comments, and if you know someone who still thinks history's boring, send them this.